Hi bookish friends, my name is Jackie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a mini end of year book haul. I thought it would be nice to do one final book haul before the end of 2025 to ring out the year strong, and I've collected a few titles in the last couple of weeks that I'm so excited to share with you. First, I want to talk about the new literary fiction and nonfiction book that I recently purchased and received, and I'm so excited to go into these. I will start first with the literary fiction that is Sharks in the Time of Saviors by Kawai Strong Washburn. I actually bought this for a cultural counseling class because I wanted to kind of expand my perspective of Native Pacific Islanders, specifically Hawaiian people. And one of the major projects of this class was finding a specific group that we aren't really familiar with and learning more about them. So this is the book that I ended up getting for that and reading. It's Sharks in the Time of Saviors. And yeah, this is kind of what it looks like. It's set in 1995, so it's historical fiction off the coast of Kailua Kona, Hawaii, and we're following 7-year-old Nainoa Flores who falls overboard into the Pacific Ocean. When a shiver of sharks appears in the water, everyone fears for the worst, but he's gingerly delivered to his mother in the jaws of a shark, making his story the stuff of legends. His family is struggling amidst the collapse of the sugarcane industry and hails his rescue as a sign of favor from ancient Hawaiian gods. This is a belief that appears to be validated after Noah exhibits puzzling new healing abilities. But as time passes, the supposed divine factor drives the family apart, and the Flores siblings end up scattered across the mainland. When supernatural events revisit the household in Hawaii, they're forced to reckon with the bonds of family, the meaning of heritage, and cost of survival. This explores a lot of themes of colonialism, of the effects of that on a family, and just how intergenerational trauma can affect different members of a family very differently. It's a very deeply moving, very powerful read, and we really explore a lot of the motivations for why each of these siblings go to the mainland, and also just dive into how they've sort of lost touch with their Hawaiian roots and have sort of assimilated into mainland culture, but the effects and the cost that this is having for their personal lives and their mental well-being. It's a very beautiful story. I learned a lot from this book, and I'm so glad to have picked this one up and read it. I think that it's very worthwhile. It's definitely a top read of the year so far, and it is one of the 100 notable books of 2020, according to the New York Times. I think it's very fitting to be on that list. I found it to be moving, and I think that you will really appreciate this, especially if you're looking to expand your own horizons and read about a different group of people outside of your in-group or your own personal heritage or culture. I thought the writing was really well done, and you can feel how passionate Washburn is in writing the story. So I highly recommend checking this one out. Next up, I have the Penguin Book of the International Short Story, and I don't really want to say the editor's names because I fear I'm going to butcher one of them, but it's edited by John Freeman and Rabi Alameddine. I feel like I butchered that. I'm so sorry. I'm not good at pronunciation, but I will try to look it up to pronounce it better when I do a review on this. It says it's a best in short fiction from around the world, and it was put together by a celebrated anthologist and author, John Freeman, with the award-winning novelist Rabi Alameddine. So basically, it's about a bunch of different stories from writers from different nations and language and sensibilities. They come together in this one tour of modern fiction. We have Super Frog Saves Tokyo, where Haruki Murakami brings us a man who believes a giant amphibian is enlisting him to protect his city from an impending earthquake. In War of the Clowns, we have Mozambique's Mia Couto sketching a perfect allegory for our divided culture. In the predecessor story to her novel, The Vegetarian, Hong Kong depicts a protagonist quietly undergoing an unlikely transformation. Another author's character thinks, I do not even believe in Ireland, while Carol Ben-Simon reflects from Brazil, all great ideas seem like bad ones at some points. Salman Rushdie brings us an unsettled rural India, and Olga Tokarczuk brings us to an ugly woman who exhibits at a circus. Abdullah Taya to the queer Arab world, and Ted Chiang to a far-off galaxy. It's basically centering stories from around the world outside of the United States, trying to show different perspectives and show that the United States is not at the center of everything, and is reminiscent of this documentary line that says, the 1-inch tall barrier of subtitles to enter a new world of film. So basically it's trying to like bridge the gap and help us explore these new stories outside of like a Western perspective, which I really appreciate. It features writers from 6 different continents, ranging from new voices to literary icons, and offers a world into a distinct point of view, both transcending and illuminating their place of origin. It has captivating prose, but it's also a reminder of the power of imagination across space and time. So I'm really excited about this. I've been wanting to read more translated works, and I didn't really do a lot of that in 2025, but that's, I think, going to be a goal for 2026. And I'm just interested in learning more about these different stories. I probably won't read these all at once. I'll probably take them one at a time and read a little here and a little there. That's generally how I prefer to read my anthologies and short story collections, but I'm excited to dive into this nonetheless. Next, I want to share some mystery and thriller books that I've recently acquired. There's only a few of these, so it should be pretty brief, but I just wanted to show you the new titles that I've recently gotten. First, I want to talk about The Day I Lost You by Ruth Mancini. And it says that Lauren just wants a new life in Spain. She's suffered an unimaginable loss, but at last she's found a home in the pretty seaside town of Mantilla de Mar. Everyone deserves a new start, and Lauren needs to put her past firmly behind her. Hope has everything: an interesting career as a therapist, an attractive husband, and a dream home in the countryside. And finally, now she has the baby she's always longed for, Sam, her beautiful boy. But Sam has gone missing. When the police tell her that a woman has been found in Spain with a child matching Sam's description, Hope thinks that her nightmare might be coming to an end. But Lauren is insisting that Sam is her baby. She even has his passport and birth certificate to prove it. So what really happened to Sam, and who still has secrets to hide? There's one child, 2 mothers, and a past that won't let them go. I think this sounds so interesting. I'm curious to see how this thriller is going to devolve from this premise. On the front, it says, "A mother's love knows no bounds." And I think that generally a lot of mothers believe this to be true, but I'm excited to read this. It's like a twisty thriller about a missing child and 3 adults whose shared secrets and hidden history could prove to be deadly. I read a few years ago The Push by Ashley Audrain, and that was like a thriller centered around a mother dealing with like postpartum depression, and I thought that was really well executed and I really enjoyed that story. So that makes me really excited to pick up The Day I Lost You. I love these like psychological twisty thrillers. Those are my kind of thrillers that I really enjoy. So far from the ones that I've read, I tend to really enjoy these domestic thrillers a lot, so I'm excited for this. I can't wait to dive into this, and hopefully it will be just as good as The Push was, but I don't want to go into this with too many expectations just in case it doesn't live up to them, or in case putting those expectations in ends up making me like look for certain things within the story to fit that. But I'm excited for this. I can't wait to dive into this one. I think it'll be a really fast read because I think that mysteries and thrillers tend to be more fast-paced, and I think you're gripped all the way through, so you're at the edge of your seat, and because of that, they make for quicker reads. I can't wait to dive into this one in 2026. Next up, I want to share a new mystery that I've gotten. This is Paradox by Douglas Preston and Alethea Preston. And it says it's a powerhouse team of Douglas Preston and Alethea who are joining together to enter the world of extinction. One of the holiest relics in Christendom has been inexplicably defaced. A paranoid old prospector ritualistically murdered, a controversial exobiologist tortured and dismembered. When a reclusive man is found dead under grisly circumstances in the Colorado wilderness, CBI agent Frankie Cash and Eagle County Sheriff Jim Colcord, whom we met in Extinction, team up again on the most enigmatic and dangerous case yet. This investigation uncovers the trail of bizarre killings, baffling money transfers, and a fanatical secret society. All the while, the resurrected Neanderthals who vanished into the Colorado mountains appear to be biding their time for something spectacular. It sounds like this might be a sequel book, which I didn't realize initially, but I'll definitely have to go back and read the first book, Extinction, I believe it is. But it gives me a little bit of like Indiana Jones energy with the fact that it's like involving this detective doing some sort of excavation. I don't know, Indiana Jones is just the first thing I always think of when I think of like excavation, digging, jungle work. That's what comes to mind, so that's what came to mind for this book. I'm curious to see how this one will go and what the Neanderthals that have been resurrected are planning. How is that all going to play out within the narrative of this story? I don't really know. I am curious to see the creative lens and take that this will have, and I'm hopeful to get to this in 2026. Another mystery thriller that I wanted to share is The Hatticle Boogie by James Lee Berkey, and I'm excited about this one. It says, a cloaked, disfigured man leaves a dead woman in a garbage bag on Dave Robichaux's property. He knows his world and family are about to change. With Valerie Benoit, a detective new to the Iberia Parish Sheriff's Department, who is grappling with sexist and racist harassment from their colleagues, and the volatile but fiercely loyal Clete Purcell, Dave embarks on an investigation that brings him into the most dangerous moments of his career, including the potential death of Valerie and his daughter, Alifair. Dave encounters a local handyman who leaves cryptic notes and warns of the ghosts who roam the shores of the bayou. He is being targeted by a vicious New Orleans button man and gangsters from the north. Through brilliant prose and a quintessential cast of characters, James Lee Burke weaves a portrait of gritty, valiant Louisiana at the turn of the 20th century. It's visceral, atmospheric, and wholly original. I'm really intrigued by this. I love that it is historical as well. I know that we're in the 20th century though, so it's not like super historical, it's more modern, but I appreciate the fact that we are diving back in time a little bit, and we're moving into a vortex of corruption and violence in the Louisiana bayou. I have been to Louisiana once. I only went to New Orleans though, but I am interested in exploring more of these stories set there and set in the bayou. I feel like that could be a great setting for a good mystery or thriller, and just the mystery and ominousness of the bayou really seems to like fit and add an edge to this story. I am curious to see what I will end up thinking of this, and I just am interested in diving more into mysteries and thrillers. So this book, which is all about investigating a murder, sounds like something that might be appealing, with the combination of it being set in Louisiana and it being a little bit historical as well. Hopefully this is one that I will get to in early 2026. And finally, for mysteries and thrillers, I have Shadow Ticket by Thomas Pynchon. This is a 1930s set novel, so I'm so excited. This toes a line between historical fiction and a mystery thriller, which is something that I'm really into. I love when these genres get blended together. I think it's so fitting. So we're in 1930s in the Depression era, following a detective caper named P.I. Hicks McTaggart in Milwaukee, who gets drawn into a wild chase for a missing cheese heiress. That leads him from American speakeasies to Europe, encountering Nazis, gangsters, and surreal elements as he grapples with themes of history repeating itself, forgotten pasts, and the looming apocalypse. Oh, this sounds so cool. It's wrapped in pulp fiction, historical depth, and dark humor. This sounds amazing. I mean, I was already interested in it, and now I'm even more interested in this. This is exciting. I am so interested in seeing how he's going to view all these different events. It seems like we're gonna get a lot of history in this, and I'm interested in learning more about European speakeasies. I only really know about the ones that were set up in the United States during the Prohibition era, but I didn't really know about the European ones, and I think that'll be really cool to explore. I love that we have so many surreal elements and this like threat of the apocalypse combined with these historical things like the encountering the Nazis and all of that, because I think these things are very complementary and fit thematically with each other. I can't wait to try this one out. This sounds so cool, and I am interested in learning more about how this dark humor will play into this. I have a dark sense of humor myself. I don't think that's really evident on the channel, but I do, and I really enjoy like dark humor. That's something that I appreciate a lot, so I think it'll fit thematically with this book, and it'll be a fun ride. I'm so excited to see what I think of this. Hopefully it ends up living to my expectations, because right now they're set pretty high. And I'm also hoping to get to this one in 2026. Okay, next I want to share one historical fiction / historical romance that I've recently received. I was very kindly sent a copy of this from Harper Perennial, and I know this is coming out in April of 2026, so I'm very excited for it. It's Fast and Fastidious by R.M. Caldwell, and I believe it's set in Regency, England. It says, Pride and Prejudice meets The Fast and the Furious in this rollicking romantic Regency adventure in which a meticulous young woman must abandon the rules of propriety to save Britain, and maybe even find love along the way. So it's set in England in 1810, correct, it is Regency period, and it follows Lucy Elliot, who has often been described as being fastidious. This is given to the fact that she believes there's an objectively correct and logical way to do things. While she strives to be proper in every way, she does have one rather scandalous secret. She's a frequent attendee of the entirely disreputable and illicit night races, where unchaperoned men and women from all social classes gather on dark country lanes to gamble on the outcomes of furiously fast carriage races. That's where the Fast and Furious stuff comes in. Ooh, that's so exciting. Her secret might endanger more than just her reputation when her mysterious new neighbor, Captain Dashwood, begins partaking in the races. She feels like there's something more to the handsome Captain Dashwood than meets the eye, and suspects his arrival in the neighborhood in the midst of a spate of curious and alarming carriage robberies to be no mere coincidence. Something is most certainly afoot in the county, and it's a mystery Lucy intends to solve. Though she prides herself on her preparedness, she never could have expected the anticipated web of lies, deceit, and espionage she finds herself and Captain Dashwood entangled in. Nor could she have known that the very fate of Britain would hang in the balance. But will her meticulous nature be the very thing that saves her, or will it be her and England's undoing? This sounds so fun! I love that we have elements of Fast and the Furious in this, with them all bidding on fast carriage races. Like, that sounds so interesting. And I love that we don't really know what the kind of motivations are for our Captain Dashwood. Our hero seems to be maybe morally gray, which is something that is always intriguing to me. And I love that she just has to uncover a bunch of different secrets in this. And I love the fact that she has to basically question what's going on with these carriage robberies. And Captain Dashwood, the hero, seems to be implicated in this. So I think that's going to be very interesting for her to try to uncover what's going on. It gives me a little bit of like Miss Scarlet and the Duke energy, with this young female detective having to look into these mysteries in Regency England though, rather than Victorian England, but pretty similar in the plot and the type of energy that this book is giving. I love that it's blending Pride and Prejudice and Fast and the Furious in this. That sounds like such a great recipe for success, and hopefully this is one that I will get to in 2026. Next up, I have Bloodbound by Ellis Hunter. This seems like it's a debut fantasy novel, and it says that it's a fantasy romance, and so it's going to be part of a trilogy, and it's set against a once-in-a-generation duel to the death between rival witches and dragon riders as they battle to control the source of all magic in their kingdoms. So it seems like it's going to be perfect for fans of Fourth Wing, Throne of Glass, and Quicksilver. I haven't read any of those, but I've heard good things about Fourth Wing and Quicksilver, as well as Throne of Glass, but I'm not particularly interested in picking up Throne of Glass personally. But it says, you duel or you die. Astrid has always known she's destined to die. She's the last Naxtern witch and heir to the Queen of Arturia, which is cursed by a centuries-old covenant to duel the heir to the kingdom of Vatra for the source of all magic, the hearts. Now Astrid's time is up. She's heading into enemy territories to face Prince Dryan, the most powerful dragon rider in eons, with only her familiar, her potions, and her wits to aid her. She's going to die, and any chance her queendom has of curing the blight that's ravaging the lands and killing her people will die with her. Meanwhile, deep in Dragon Country, Skylar and her traveling troupe arrive in Vatra's capital, ready to profit off the legions of spectators swarming to the city ahead of this duel. She despises the royals and all they stand for, especially as the king's guard murdered her mother. But when her best friend disappears, suspected to have been taken into conscription, her search takes her closer to the royals than she could have ever imagined. As the duel looms over the kingdom, Skylar and Astrid's fates intertwine. They must battle a growing rebellion, and ultimately those they love most, to determine if they will save or doom their world. It sounds interesting. We have these two different parallel stories. So we have this one witch who is the last heir to a queendom, and then we have just this common girl who is traveling to the capital city in Vatra and is embarking on this quest to try to find her best friend who's been conscripted into the army. And we also have this looming duel. All of those things seem super exciting in this one, and I love the cover for this so much. We have the gold foiling on it, which is absolutely stunning. You duel or you die is a very prevalent theme of this story, so I can't wait to read this. Also, look at the back of this. It says choose a side, April 2026. So that's when this is going to be released. I can't wait to read this one. Thank you so much to Atria for sending this over my way. I'm excited to read this, hopefully in the first quarter of 2026. But I'm hoping that it'll live up to all my hopes and dreams for this. I have been reading some fantasy books recently that just haven't been working for me, so hopefully this is one that will actually live up to my expectations. Okay, next for new fantasies that I've recently gotten. I was very kindly sent both of these from Webtoon/Wattpad books. So this is Cursed Princess Club. This is a graphic novel, and I was also sent Cursed Princess Club, which is the novel adaptation made of the graphic novel. So usually I see the reverse. I think I've usually seen a regular novel being written first and then it being adapted into a graphic novel, but the reverse was true in this case. And look at that cover. It's absolutely stunning. Just take that in right there. It's so beautiful. It seems to have a lot of stunning spring colors, and I love the art style so much. It says, meet Gwendolyn, who is living proof that princesses don't always have it all. Although she lives in a castle and her father is the king, she isn't like a fairy tale princess and isn't conventionally attractive. But one night she accidentally stumbles upon the twisted world of the Cursed Princess Club, and her life will never be the same. Hexed and cast out, the ladies of the club are just the people Gwendolyn needs to show her that just because she doesn't fit the mold doesn't mean she's any less of a princess. Oh, I love that. I think that's so cute that she's trying to like find her own inner worth in this, and that she thinks that because she's not beautiful, she's not as worthy of a princess, but she's going to go on this journey of self-acceptance in here. That sounds adorable. It says that it won an award for Best Humor Webcomic, so I'm excited to dive into this one. It's so cute. I believe this is volume 1 of this, so there will probably be more volumes of this to be released in the future. And it says that it's a comic with a cute art style, so it has a story that resonates with a lot of people. I love that it reminds us that we don't owe the world to be beautiful, and we don't have to be physically attractive in order to be loved for who we are. That's a great message. I think this is going to be a really quick but meaningful read for me, and I'm excited to dive into this and also to dive into the physical novel adaptation made of it. And let's take in that cover there. This is beautiful as well. I love this so much. And this one says, welcome to the Cursed Princess Club, where beauty is optional, curses are real, and happily ever afters come with a few magical mishaps. We are following Gwendolyn, who is the youngest daughter of the king, and when her father announces that her and her sisters are engaged to 3 princes, it seems like the perfect happily ever after. Until Gwen overhears her new fiancé refusing to marry her because of her appearance. She feels hurt and ashamed and runs away into the haunted forest to discover the cursed princesses. As their names suggest, they are victims of curses, but that doesn't stop them from supporting each other and showing that they are all worthy, including Gwen. So it's an adaptation, but it feels like the plot in here is a little bit different from the graphic novel. I'm curious to read both of these and see how they hold up against each other, and I'm just so excited about this. I love all the little desserts she has there, by the way. I know that's a completely unrelated side note, but I wanted to just point that out. I'm really interested in diving into both of these, and hopefully these will be ones that I get to early in 2026. Next up, I have Reign of Shadows and Endings by Melissa K. Rorick. I actually got this at the Miami Book Fair recently, which happened back in November, and this was the only book that I ended up purchasing there, but I'm really happy to have done it. I was able to meet the author while she was at the See Me Lit booth, and she signed the book for me as well. I'll show you all of the signature details and all of that in an upcoming vlog, but I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was such a fun experience. I loved going to the Miami Book Fair so much, and I'm glad to have walked away with this one. It says, a world the gods forgot. Of all the worlds and life they created, the gods favored their children the most. But with that favor came the fear that the legacy would one day become too powerful and overthrow them. Devram was created, a realm hidden among the stars. The gods gave their legacy the best of all the worlds, and then they left, a sworn agreement to never return and to never interfere. A historical event. Forced to a life of servitude, the Fae are required to provide for the legacy in more ways than one. Every 5 years, the eligible Fae are gathered for the selection and assigned to serve in one of 6 kingdoms. To be chosen as the personal source for a kingdom heir is a great honor, and for the first time in millennia, all 6 kingdoms have heirs choosing a source, but their selections could tip the power balance a little too far. A chosen source that was never meant to be. Tessalin Asura was as forgotten as a realm. As the personal source to the heir of endings, she winds up serving in the darkest kingdom of them all. The secrets within the Arius kingdom are meant to be learned and kept, but this was never the life she wanted. She's fighting not only the fate thrust upon her, but the temptation to lose herself to desire. Tessa will do anything to escape her new destiny until she starts to realize that maybe their world wasn't as forgotten as she thought, and maybe she's the reason why. Wow, this sounds so good. I do know that the author told me to keep with the story when I met her, that things will come together in later sequels and to have patience to see it through. So I'm excited to read this, and I'm going to, like the author said, be patient with it, and hopefully the answers will start to unravel in the sequels to this. I ended up picking this one up because I've heard great things about Melissa K. Rorick's writing, and I have been wanting to read some of her works, so it seemed like the perfect time to finally pick this up, especially since I had the chance to meet the author. I was so honored to have the chance to talk with her a little bit, and I can't wait to dive into this one. Hopefully this will be a 2026 read. I might end up adding this to my 26 books to read in 2026 list, but who knows? I'll let you know for sure in a later video. Finally, I want to share Better in Black by Cassandra Clare. This is 10 stories of Shadowhunter romance. I absolutely adore the Shadowhunter Chronicles so much. If you don't already know that about me, the Infernal Devices trilogy, which is part of the Shadowhunter Chronicles, is one of my favorite series of all time. It's one of these series that I could talk about endlessly. I love it to pieces, and I'm so glad to have read through them. I think that it's one of the instances where the love triangle trope actually worked for me in that trilogy. I adore these books so much. Some of the series within these Shadowhunter Chronicles I liked more than others, but I am always interested in reading anything that Cassandra Clare writes in this world, so I'm so excited to have my hands on this, especially since this is an anthology of the different romances and relationships from the main Shadowhunter Chronicles, and they're getting like some short stories and more fun in here. I'm so excited for this. I feel like that does come across though, but I can't wait to read this. I might end up reading it before the end of 2025 because that's how eager I am to dive into this. Like, I need to start reading this as soon as possible. It says that it'll have stories from Will and Tessa, Julian and Emma, Jocelyn and Luke, Anna and Ari, Jason Clary, James and Cordelia, Thomas and Alistair, Simon and Izzy, Kieran, Mark and Christina, and Sebastian and the Sealy Queen. My story will be a love story like all stories. I'm so excited for this! This is a book that's like meant to tide us over in anticipation of her final series that she's writing within this world, which is The Wicked Powers. I know The Last King of Fairy, the first book of that, is going to be coming out soon-ish. I don't know if it'll be a 2026 release. It might end up being a 2027 release, but I'm excited for it so much. And in the meantime, we have Better in Black. I'm so eager to read this. It has so many beloved characters in here and some of my favorite pairings, like Will and Tessa. I love them so much. And Kieran, Mark, and Christina, they're great. I want to read more from James and Cordelia and Anna and Ari as well because they're featured in the sequel trilogy to The Infernal Devices, which is The Last Hours, but there isn't a lot of content of them since most of the series take place in the present day, and The Infernal Devices and The Last Hours both take place in like a historical time period within the Shadowhunter Chronicle world, so we don't have as much development for them. And I'm just so excited to read all of these. I can't believe that I finally have my hands on this. I've been waiting for so long. I pre-ordered this book earlier in the year, I think in like September or August, when she first announced that this was coming out and the pre-orders were available. This is what the cover looks like. And then I'll show you the inside because it has stunning artwork. Like, look at that. That's absolutely beautiful. I think this is Kieran, Mark, and Christina. And look at that. I'm just absolutely gobsmacked by that artwork. And the outside of this, look at how beautiful that is. It has like the silver foiling here, which I think is absolutely stunning. And we also even have silver foiling on the spine. They really made this truly a special edition. I'm so excited to have my hands on this. And then I'll show you there's artwork also on the back of the book. So I think this might be the same artwork repeated, but this is what this artwork looks like back here. You might end up hearing about this book in my 2025 wrap up or in 2026, depending on when I get around to reading it. All right, so those are all the books that I wanted to share for this book haul. Thank you so much for being on this ride with me, and I hope you've enjoyed and you found some new books that you might be interested in purchasing or requesting from the library for yourself or for someone else in your life. Hopefully you've enjoyed some of these or found some new recommendations. I appreciate you all so much. Make sure to hit that like button, comment, or subscribe if you're interested. And wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, I hope that you're doing well, and I'll see you for another video soon. Bye!